It's finally spring! Woo! I don't know about you, but I certainly needed it this year. And I thought this might be a good opportunity to talk about the opposite of an elimination diet, which is how do we celebrate food? I would love to hear about what kind of food traditions you and your family have. But here are some ideas of things that I am either currently doing with my family or things I would like to try out because I think they sound like fun. So, first off, we have the category of daily celebrations, which I guess is more like a ritual if you're doing it frequently. So, one thing we've been doing lately, not every day because sometimes we forget or sometimes I just can't get my act together, but we've been doing a daily tea time at our house, which has been so fun. It's very simple. We might just have, chamomile tea or peppermint tea and something sweet to eat. And it started off earlier in the year as a monthly poetry tea, which we were doing as part of our homeschool. So I'd make tea, and the kids would go pick up some poetry books, or I would pick out some poems that had to do with the season or something our family was interested in or doing, and read a few of the poems. But a few months ago, we kind of got in a lull with our homeschool, and we just needed to add more joy to our daily lives. So I said, let's try doing tea time every day. So again, it's not fancy by any means. If we have some random flowers kicking around, maybe we'll put them on the table. If we have some candles kicking around the counter, maybe we'll light those up. But otherwise, it's just tea and some teacups and maybe a little treat and some poetry books or whatever else you want to share. And that's our daily tea time. So if you work full time or you're just not home that much or you don't homeschool your kids, there are lots of other daily rituals that I think would be fun and that are quick and that you don't have to be home in the middle of the day for. One that I'm thinking of that I think is so wonderful is when I was teaching in France, the school lunch, side note, was amazing that they served at the school. All the kids got, a side salad and a lunch with a home cooked entree. They had a selection of different options and a side dish and a vegetable and then a piece of fruit, and you got a piece of cheese and a dessert. And there was coffee for the teachers and a beer fridge for the teachers. So their respect for food is just a whole other level. But also for breakfast, if you got your breakfast at school, every kid would get a little piece of chocolate with their breakfast, which I thought was so sweet and could be such an easy tradition to implement in your own home. All right, so you've got your fun daily ritual in place. Then I think it's helpful to think about what kind of weekly rituals you might want to implement with your family. We don't really do any kind of family Sabbath, but I think it'd be nice to have a day where we turned off some of our electronics. And I mean, we have all our meals together anyway, but had something special. Like every Sunday night, we're going to have, you know, dessert and bake a loaf of bread and have a little red wine or something. Especially if you have multiple children, it can be super helpful to have weekly rituals where one parent takes one kid out into town to the local bakery and they get a muffin together. And that's some special bonding time for just that parent and that child. Even if it's, a couple bucks and 10 minutes, it's special time that you're reserving just for that one kid. So I feel like that's easy and reasonably affordable and can make a big difference. All right, then we have the seasonal holidays, which today, being the first day of spring, seems like a fitting time to think about. I always thought that spring should be when the new year starts, which I think the Persian New Year does start at the beginning of spring, but it just seems to make so much sense that like things are reborn and things are coming back to life and things are growing. So if you want to celebrate your own New Year's on the beginning of spring, I think that's a great idea. Just in general, I think celebrating all of the shifting seasons and the holidays and the feast days is a great antidote to the monotony of daily life, the things you do all the time and are just not exciting. But there's always something to look forward to, and there's always something to celebrate and something new coming up. One of my favorite books that's good inspiration for celebrating all of the holidays is Tasha Tudor's book, A Time to Keep. And I, even as a kid, I loved that book and I would get it out of the library every week. But it has beautiful illustrations and talks about different things to celebrate throughout the year. In February, for instance, the kids have a little Valentine's Day celebration for their dolls, and they have a little post office that they make, and there's pictures of the little corgis getting treats. And in March, they have a sugaring off party where they make their maple syrup. And then in April, they're talking about all the new animals being born and celebrating that. And they make a little egg tree. So just for every month, there's beautiful, whimsical illustrations. And it'd be fun for kids to read and get excited about the holidays. But as a parent, sometimes you forget what things are coming up and which things are next month that you might want to get ready for or excited about. So I think this book is a great reminder of some of those fun things you might want to celebrate with your kids. Finally, zooming out and looking at an even bigger picture, I think it's fun to think about your family traditions and how your family has celebrated different foods and different celebrations with different recipes. So, one project that I'm really excited about doing this spring, I've started, but I have a long ways to go in completing it, is to make a family cookbook. So I'm compiling recipes from my dad's family in Sierra Leone and my grandmother on my mom's side and my husband's family that has a bunch of Greek recipes and family friends who are Scandinavian and have shared their family recipes with us for years and years and have basically been integrated into our own family traditions. So I'm pulling all these recipes together and putting them in one place so that I can have a reminder of them myself, and then I can share them with my children as well. There's a really lovely cookbook called Falling Cloudberries, which is one woman's, it's almost like a memoir, but it's a cookbook with recipes from different places that she's lived or different places that different family members are from. So she has gorgeous photographs of food from these different places, and then some photographs too of people in her family when they were living in those particular places or when she's gone to visit them. And then in the front of the book, she also has this hand painted family tree with the different family members and showing the connection. So I think that's a really lovely way to preserve your food memories and celebrate the food, but also remember some of your family traditions. So those are some of the ways that I myself and my family have been celebrating food and traditions surrounding food. But I would love to hear what you and your family currently do or are looking forward to doing in the future. So if you have any cool ideas that you've tried or are going to try, please leave a comment below. I'd love to hear about it.